Welcome to Behind the Aisle podcast, where we're just two wedding professionals sharing a no bullshit approach to what goes on behind the scenes in the wedding industry. My name is Katie, and I am a wedding planner.
And I'm Sarah. I'm a wedding photographer.
Happy Monday.
Happy Monday. It's Monday for us. Won't be Monday when you hear this, but it could be actually if you're listening on a Monday, I guess.
True. Absolutely. Start your week off grand.
It's Monday morning.
Sarah just got done with a really cute shoot.
Yeah, I did a cake smash, which was real fun.
So cute.
He's a park ranger. He's a little park ranger.
He was so cute. Mom goes all out also because park ranger was the whole set was very like personalized. Like his name was on stuff.
Oh yeah, his name's on everything.
I love this so much.
She gets his name on everything.
I love that for her.
Yeah,
he was so cute.
Very cute. That was part of that was the last of my motherhood milestone sessions with them.
Stop.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, because he's one.
He's one. That's it.
Oh.
Makes me sad. I won't see him every month, but it's okay. They'll probably have another kid and I get to do it again. Hopefully.
There you go.
Yeah.
So you do like these like monthly things?
Yeah. So the monthly milestone, the whole motherhood milestone package is, you get basically from start to finish the entire pregnancy and first year, all the milestones. So you get announcement if you want an announcement. Most of the time they book after the announcement though. So maternity, newborn, then was there one before maternity? No, it's maternity, newborn, and then every month they get a 30-minute like milestone to track the months and the progression, and then an heirloom session, and then a first birthday like cake smash session.
That is so cute.
And then an album to wrap it all up. So.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's sad though. I don't get to see him anymore. It won't be the last time because we're pretty close, but.
Well, that's good.
Yeah. Yeah, I love them. They're so fun.
That's so cute.
Yeah, so Monday.
Kicked right off.
Early.
My fall season started this past weekend.
Oh, are we considering this fall?
At least for me, just because like I had a huge break like in between. Like my last wedding was like top of June. I didn't have anything else until literally this past weekend.
How'd it go? I haven't had a TLDR from you yet, so.
Oh, it literally was fine. If any of y'all are local listeners to the Northern Virginia area, and my first wedding was the very first week of August, again, depending on when you're listening to this, we were able to get like all of the photos done before the torrential downpour that happened on Saturday. That was crazy. Like the heavens opened up real quick and it just poured like mad.
First look?
No.
Wow.
No, we didn't do a first look. They did a first touch, which was super cute. But thankfully we were at a venue that it was covered. Ceremony was covered. Cocktail hour actually was upstairs inside of the venue, which was nice. And then reception obviously was inside, but then all of their portraits and such. The venue that they got married at, portrait locations are already very slim to none. Mm-hmm. So we were already planning on having most of the portraits done at the ceremony location anyway. So it worked out really well for us. But if they did want to go, there is like this cute like little like pond area, whatever. But that just wasn't an option. However, even the couple though, like they had done so many like extended family portraits that they were just photoed out. Yeah. So even when the rain came and went, and the golden hour though, post rain was beautiful. They were so tired though. I looked at them and because I checked in with them and I said, hey, the sun's out. It is beautiful outside. Do you guys want to take any photos? Bride's literally shoving steak in her mouth and she was like, mm-mm.
No, thank you.
Okay. So, photographer was disappointed. I get it. From a photographer standpoint, I kind of was a little sad at that second. I was like, oh, it's so pretty out. I was really hoping for a rainbow. Like I was going to force him to go outside though, if there was a rainbow.
Don't do that.
And there wasn't.
Don't do that.
I was going to.
Don't do it. You can't see it.
You can't?
No.
You're lying.
No. Every time I have a rainbow, it's fake.
Oh. Yeah. What do you mean it's fake?
bitches want fucking rainbow photos and you can't see it
Why can't you see it?
because it's far away. The way the camera works is
I'm getting a lesson.
the way the camera works
And a lecture.
is you unless you're doing some crazy flash, like if you have people that are pretty well versed in off-camera flash and like can do outdoor off-camera flash stuff, then you basically like the background is already going to be either blown out or blurry or something because you're either focusing on the rainbow, which then you can see, or focusing on the couple. If you focus on the couple, you can't see the rainbow because it's in the sky and it's pretty hard to see a rainbow anyway. So anytime, there's only ever been one time that I did it with off-camera flash because it was still raining. So they were undercover and I did off-camera flash and you could kind of see it, but most of the time I Photoshopped the rainbow back in.
Oh,
because
stop.
you can't see it. Yeah.
It's all a lie.
It's all a lie. Yeah. Because
Damn.
they're always like, oh my God, rainbow. I got to get a rainbow photo. And I'm like, okay. Gonna have to Photoshop this later.
Thanks, guys, so
Thanks,
much.
guys.
Well, I didn't know.
Yeah. Don't do that.
Okay. I won't
Unless
do
the
that.
couple asks you to do the rainbow photo, don't offer because sometimes the photographer's like,
Please don't do that.
I don't know how to do that. I can't see it. I can't make it happen. Yeah.
Well, there wasn't a rainbow, so it was fine. But yeah, no, everything else like worked out really well. The exception of my DJ was so great until he wasn't. And it wasn't anything like super serious. Some venues just have a really strict like vendors don't drink policy, and this venue is one of those. And homeboy was drinking a beer on the right and then a mixed drink on the left. So I double checked with the venue first. I feel bad because I don't want it to seem like I'm a tattletale, but I also want to make sure that we're following like rules and regulations.
You
and
don't
also
want a couple or you to get in trouble.
True. And also this DJ is in representation of like, he's a part of a team, part of a other company. So I actually texted his boss too. And I was like, hey, I wanted to double check with you. What's your policy on this? And then obviously he explained to me that it was 0 tolerance. And I was like, okay, I don't mean to tattletale. However, you probably want to remind your boy then not to do that.
Yeah.
So the venue's super sweet in the sense of like that they acknowledged it and said like, hey, gentle reminder. But also went to their bartenders and was like,
You cannot
don't do
serve that.
Yeah. So, which I can understand because obviously, like, you know, if a DJ is going to show up and he's dressed appropriately, which he was, he looks like a guest.
Yeah.
Like, you know, he'll look like a guest. So I can understand that. But now that's like for me as a planner, I kind of want to be like, how can I help that situation in the future? I can't like fix everything. I understand that. But at the same time, I'm kind of like, I did tell like when I released like the vendors to go eat, I did tell them like, hey, you can go ahead and visit the bar. The venue is not going to allow you alcoholic drinks, but you can get whatever non-alcoholic drink that you want. And then your food is located at this place or whatever have you. So food was banging. It was great.
Was it?
Yes, it was. Yes, it was. It was.
Was it plated or buffet?
It was a buffet meal, but it was plated for us and it was brought up.
Because the last time I was at said venue, it was not good.
Oh, I'm so sorry. But I practically licked my plate clean.
Okay, that's good. Maybe they were just having an off day.
Okay, well, that's good. Well, not good for you. Good for
Yeah.
me. Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, I was a little disappointed with that. But
Yeah. So, but other than that, yeah, it was all, wedding was great. They had a grand time. Nothing really crazy. They went and had their after party for like the last hour that the brewery was open. So they like walked from the venue, like down to the brewery. And had
I would
themselves a good
assume
time.
that they would do that. I feel like that's kind of the point.
It depends on what time your reception ends. Like sometimes I've had weddings where it'll go to 11 at that location. And then obviously you can't go to the brewery because also the brewery's closed at that time. So, but no, they ended a whole hour before the brewery closed. So yeah, everyone just got up and
That's fun.
walked on over. Yeah, it was totally great. So nothing really crazy to report. I think it was a good wedding to kick off our fall season. So, and then, yeah, it's just go time now after this. Emma, my associate planner, she let me know that starting on August 31st, the team has a wedding every single weekend until December 7th.
Wow.
I did not notice that in our calendar.
I don't go to December this year. I think I have one every weekend no, there's 2 weekends. Nope. I think I only have 1 weekend off. Let's see.
Really?
Yeah. So starting September 7th, I go every weekend. I have 1 weekend off until October 26th is my last wedding of the year.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, early this year. Usually I have a November wedding, which is interesting, but and then I take December and January off regardless. But
you don't book anything in December or January?
no, not unless I do. The only thing I'll do is like Christmas minis.
Okay.
But I don't typically take any weddings in December because it's my birthday and the holiday, obviously.
Yeah, makes sense.
It just gets a little dicey with scheduling.
Also, we're all tired.
And I'm tired at that point. Yeah. Very tired.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's exciting though, and stressful and tiring for you.
Yeah, it's all right. We'll be okay.
Yeah.
We'll be fine.
Talk to me in December.
Okay.
About how fine you are.
Yes. I will say my last wedding of the year is October 26th.
Okay.
Just Rena and Emma get to
Okay.
close us out.
That's fun. That's nice for you though. That's kind of benefits of having a team.
Yeah.
With you being so booked, maybe we can segue into
Our topic
for today.
Oh, the dreaded hustle culture, friends.
Yeah, we're going to talk hustle culture. If you don't know what hustle culture is, it's pretty self-explanatory, but it is the need and the outward appearance of being busy
All the time.
all the time.
Like an unhealthy amount.
Yeah. And it's either you are actually hustling or you are just perceiving that you're hustling.
Yeah.
And it's just being busy all the time, whether you want to be or don't want to be. So we're going to take a little stab at the ins and outs of
I will throw
hustle
myself
culture.
under the bus is that this is something that I have constantly struggled with. Like in the beginning, let me disclaim from the very, very start. There are times and seasons where you will have to hustle. Yes. But the continual, like you said earlier, like perception of constantly being in a state of hustle, like that's not, first of all, that does not equal success, which I feel like our entrepreneurial, like society, like that part of society, if you are like an entrepreneur of any kind, there is this weird stigma that you constantly just have to be working 24/7. Like there's memes about it, you know, like, oh, I left my 9 to 5
to work 24/7.
to work for like 24/7. That's not a good thing.
Yeah.
The whole point that people obviously leave their 9 to 5s is so that they can have control, a good majority of it, have their control over their finances, their time,
Their family life.
yeah, everything, like the balance that they potentially were not able to create for themselves with an actual 9 to 5. And so now like the stigma of leaving 9 to 5 to work 24/7 and then that equating to like being an entrepreneur, you constantly have to be working all the time. It's unhealthy. And while Sarah and I were prepping for this episode, I literally, as I was like writing down the notes, I was like, I'm going to preach to myself today. This is great.
Yeah.
Because I do acknowledge it. Like, at least like for me, like you and I have had like these conversations where right now I'm in the constant state of questioning, am I too busy? Because I'm finding myself like there are less and less days where I can do like spontaneous things. Grabbing lunch with somebody or like going on a shopping trip with you or something like that. And I have to make the really hard decision of like, no, I'm just so jam-packed. There's so many things on my to-do list that like I don't have the margin for like a little bit of fun every now and again.
Yeah. I think if you have to question if you are too busy, you might be bordering on too busy.
Yeah.
I think if you're questioning it, if you're like seeing all of the things that you are saying no to, and then it's hindering on your happiness, and you're just constantly like disappointed, like, no, I have to do this. No, I have to do that. No, I have to do this. My to-do list is, a mile long, and I don't have time for anything fun, even on weekends, which we don't really get weekends.
Right.
So not being able to take the time out of making yourself your own weekend, by taking like Sunday and Monday off, and because you work, Tuesday through Saturday, then I do think that there comes a point where you are either bordering on too busy or you are too busy.
Yeah.
But that's something that you have to decide on your own too. Right. On what makes you happy. And if your happiness is jam-packed into your work, then that's fine, kind of. But if you're also not getting any external happiness, then there's an issue.
Yeah, I agree.
I was, when I first started, and I'm the opposite too. So sometimes I'm like, I'm not busy enough. Like, I have too much free time. Am I not doing something that I should be doing? Like, where's the disconnect?
Yeah.
Like, I should be busier than this. Then I have to, like, deep down in myself be like, I'm okay. It's okay to not be busy.
All the time.
Like, I have months where I can't do anything because I am doing something every single day, and then also editing or, finishing up the other things that I have done all month.
Yeah.
So I do have times where I am very, very busy, but then there are times where I'm not busy and it's like, oh, fuck. Am I not working? Like, is this not working? Like, am I financially okay? Like, what's happening?
Yeah.
But then I just tell myself, like, it's okay. It'll come back. To take this time. It's fine. But that should be the beauty of being self-employed.
Yeah, for sure.
Is to be able to give yourself free time.
Yeah.
And to tell yourself, like, I'm going to go do this today.
Yeah.
Because other stuff can wait. And this is what I tell Katie all the time. So not everything is an emergency.
What do you mean?
Things can wait. Like, your emails will still be there. It's okay if you don't respond within 45 minutes,
Are we sure?
Yeah.
Everything will explode.
Yeah. So, but there are times, I've seen her inbox where it's like crazy, but there are times that you can take where you don't pay attention to your email or what's going on at the office or what you need to be doing. I'm not here to preach on Katie because I've talked to her enough about it. But
this is true. But that's okay. Putting me on the spot, or maybe it's somebody else needs to hear it.
Yeah.
This is your sign.
Essentially, being busy is not a badge of honor. It's not something that defines your success.
Right.
It's not something that determines whether or not you are financially stable or your work-life balance is good or whatever it is. It's not something that determines, what's important.
Yeah.
You don't need to be busy all the time. Being busy is good. It's not bad to be busy, but being busy all the time.
Yeah.
Is, poor work-life balance at that point.
I know, like, for me, like, where I can, and this is like where it does include like the overall like hustle culture, like in general, but from an individual like standpoint, unfortunately, I was taught and brought up that like if you're not working, that means like you're not making money, which is true. But then if you're not making money, that means you can't pay your bills. If you can't pay your bills, they take your stuff away. So like how I was taught was a very unhealthy approach of work ethic. You can have a great work ethic, but then it turns into, okay, the work ethic is like unhealthy we're getting to a potential point of burnout, in which I have gone through a season of burnout before, like in the past. I won't even wish that like on my worst enemy, in regards to like what burnout like feels like, what it looks like, all of that sort of thing. I'll never forget. July of 2019 was monumental for me, and something that I can now recognize. And I already, like for this year, I've already seen like different signs earlier this year where I was like, okay, I got to chill out. I've got to like create some sort of like margin and establish even stricter boundaries like on myself in order for me not to get to that point again. But the problem that I see with this whole hustle culture is that there's no, I feel like, especially within like the wedding and event industry, like there's no education about the warning signs of burnout. As like it's taught, like burnout is talked about, mental health is talked about, like those are like trigger keywords like right now, but like no one actually, it's like fluffy stuff.
Yeah.
Like, oh, go get your nails done, or like go get a massage.
Self-care
like
Sunday.
the whole, yeah. And it's like, but self-care like doesn't necessarily have to mean like pampering for every single person. Right. It's different from an individualistic like standpoint across the board. But like nobody, I feel like, talks about that. We don't see it, at least I don't. I don't see that mentioned like whatsoever. And nor do I even see it like the education or the warning about us having hustle culture in general.
Yeah.
I've only been seeing about like, okay, how do we, here's the solution to burnout, or here's the solution to like avoid it. Let's start from like the actual beginning.
Yeah.
And let's change the entirety of the message of hustle culture. Let's eradicate that so that that's not even like, we don't even have a starting point. Do you know what I mean?
I think a lot of that comes from the people that are in the education industry. I think it's how they're perceiving themselves and teaching others that way. So it's kind of stems from, I mean, we all, when we're coming up, we all watch somebody.
Yeah.
We all latch onto somebody that puts our trajectory into whatever self-employment that you want, because obviously what they have looks good.
Yeah.
And we want that.
Right.
So once we start following them, we pay attention to how busy they look.
Right.
Because they are posting every day. They're constantly coming out with content. They're constantly launching different workshops. They're constantly launching this. They're constantly doing photos. They're constantly at events. Like their lives look super busy.
Yeah.
And to us, that looks like that's what we need to do in order to be them.
Yep.
So, I mean, it's all in comparison. It's all in, the educators. It's everything that we're watching and we're seeing on social media is really what it is.
Yeah.
As far as the educators go, or just influencers in general. They look like they're hustling, and they look like that I need to be that way. And I dealt with it a lot when I first started, constantly making myself look busy.
Yeah. And
I think that's where we also can get into the whole faking the busy as well. The scarcity mentality that we give to clients, to fake the looking busy so that people book us immediately because we're so busy that we don't have time for anyone, which we'll get into in a second. But for me, I think that's where it stems from, is watching other people and being like, good Lord, they're doing everything. I'm doing nothing. I need to be like them.
Right.
So I need to do all of these things. They don't tell you what they don't tell you.
Right.
Is one, majority of those people have a staff.
Yeah.
So yes, it's their face on stuff, but their staff is the one that's posting all the time. Their staff is the one that's making them look busy. They're the ones that are putting out all this content and making everything look so, glamorous and fun and all this stuff. Majority of the people that have multi-million, not multi-million, but I guess millions of followers too. They have a staff that are doing that for them.
Yeah.
Those people have boundaries. I think that's what sets them up for success. And I don't think people talk about that as much. And we've done a boundaries episode, but I don't think people talk about that as much because it's not fluffy. It's not fun. It's not pretty to set up boundaries for yourself.
Yeah.
But what those people aren't saying is they do have boundaries. They have a work-life balance that you know of. I mean, that you're hoping that they do. I mean, maybe they don't. Maybe they are hustling till they're, deep in the ground or whatever.
Yeah, for sure.
But they do have boundaries. They set them for themselves. I think that's what makes them so successful. It's just not something that we see.
I think there are two paths. Yeah. Like this road of success, which, is you hustle and you either don't have the boundaries and you are like blood, tooth, nail, whatever, blood, sweat, tears. I don't know where that came from. Whoops. But that's path one where like you get to the top, but then you're just so exhausted that it's not sustainable then. And eventually you reach to like where your goal was going to be, but then you can't sustain that. And then the other side of the whole success of what we see then is like what you were explaining of like, they set up appropriate boundaries. They outsource way before they think they're going to need to in order for them to get to whatever goal that they're working towards. They attain the goal. They are successful. Again, the term success is defined from an individualistic standpoint that looks different for every single person. But then they're also then able to sustain it afterwards. And then we see them around a whole lot more often.
Yeah.
Whereas sometimes, I mean, I've seen it. I use like Vine as an example all the time. One about the whole like rented platform situation per social media. That's a totally different conversation for a different day. But like, for example, like all of those the very first like round of influencers that we saw, that they worked on this one area. And then all of a sudden that one area was taken from them. Now we don't see any of those people anymore.
Yeah.
They're like they do exist obviously, but not in the same way of what we were used to.
Right.
So there was just no sustainability, no different like paths that they took or passive income or whatever have you. And so I feel like with this whole like hustle culture in and of itself, there are two different paths that people will take. Yes, you have to hustle at one point to get yourself off the ground, but then there's self-awareness and like the mental wellness that you have to have in order for you to know, again, when is it time for me to quit hustling so that I can like ride the wave of the results from the actual hustle that I just did.
Right.
I don't know if that's making any sense.
No, that makes total sense. Absolutely. And I see it a lot in people who are up and coming is they'll ride this massive hustle, like this massive hyperfixation. They'll ride it for about a year. And then once they overbook themselves because they feel they need to, in order to maintain this perception of I'm doing it, I'm getting out there, I've got this, they overbook themselves. And then at the very end of that first year or year and a half, they burn out and then they give it up.
Yeah.
Because it's not sustainable. Like the hustling of like the overbooking, overworking, it is fun for a little bit, but in the long run, it's not sustainable for anyone's mental health. So I do see that a lot in like the people who are up and coming trying to get into the industry, whether it's photography or the like. Photography, I think you see it a lot more because everyone picks up a camera and is like, I'm going to be a photographer. I'm going to do this. And then they actually get in the thick of it. And now all of a sudden they have something every week or every day of every week of every month. And they can't they're drowning and they can't get afloat from all of the editing and the back end work and all of that stuff to maintain the business.
That's an art skill too, like learning the craft.
Yeah.
Like I feel
it is. I mean, yes, I'm not saying it isn't. I'm saying it is. I'm just saying a lot of people don't.
That's what I'm saying. Like sure, you can go to like Best Buy and go get a DSLR like willy nilly, like anywhere. But I guess that's a whole other thing it annoys the hell out of me. We won't get into that today. But yeah, perfecting, like taking the time to perfect the craft and then not only perfecting the craft, but then if you want to go into the whole entrepreneur thing, then learning all the business fundamentals and the basics for that. Yeah. That's a whole thing and a half too. So, but
nobody ever like realizes the amount of back end work there is in any self-employment business, but specifically photo and video. Like, they're like, I feel like everyone's jobs are leading up until the event, where ours are everything after the event.
Yes. Yeah.
And then I think that's where people get overwhelmed, is they don't anticipate the time that it takes after the event, because then they're constantly booking themselves for after and then after and after, and not focusing on finishing up the before.
Yeah.
So that's where people kind of fall short and then end up burning out because they're not able to do anything besides work to catch up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's sad.
It is. It's sad. So I guess there's two things that we need to talk about. One is the scarcity mentality, and the scarcity, the fear mongering is what it is. This is something that I dealt with a lot when I was first starting, from who I was learning from. That was a big business model for them, is to always look busy. Because if you're busy, then you're successful and everyone wants to be a part of what you have. So if I look busy, then people need to book me right away because I won't have time for them in a week or a month or whatever it is, or next year. So that was a huge learning curve that I still find myself doing every once in a while. I do find myself falling into that mindset when I'm either like promoting something or, trying to book weddings for next year or whatever it is. That's something that I've had to unlearn, which it is a marketing tactic. It's just not the only marketing tactic.
Right.
And I think people latch onto that really fast when they're trying to promote something. Because it's easy to do, but I think it bites you in the ass in the long run. So what are your thoughts on that?
I think it's a hot take. I do agree, where I have seen various different those that call it educators within our world of having this scarcity tactic. I just told Sarah right before we started filming this that the scheduler that I use actually has a tool that literally you can turn on and off where it makes you look busier for certain appointments, all that kind of stuff. The schedule that I use is really I don't think they did not make it for the perspective of a wedding planner, but definitely someone who offers maybe yoga classes or massages or something like that. And so there's a tool that you can turn on and off on this scheduler where it literally is make me look busy type situation. So they'll just randomly take times off so that it looks like your calendar is more full than it really is. I can understand and see the benefits of the scarcity tactic every now and again, but constantly using it, and that's the only model that you are using within your business, that's not good.
Right.
Because for me, then there have been sometimes where I have either spoken with fellow vendors or I've seen it on social media of all right, I'm almost booked out of this and blah, blah, blah. me as a planner, then sometimes I have put that, like tucked that away in the back of my head, and I have then told myself, you know what? I don't think I'm going to reach out to this person because they are just
They're too busy.
They're too busy. And so if they are doing quantity over quality, I am not going to refer you then to my clients, because then you are too busy then for my clients. And I want you to be able to like serve them well. But then from that person, if you really aren't busy though, and you're like in the back of your head, like, why aren't I getting booked? Like, I don't understand. I thought this scarcity tactic was supposed to work or whatever. That's where it could backfire.
Yeah.
So I think being in full transparency is a grand thing when it comes to your schedule. I'm not saying then that you have to take something that is so like last minute just because you're available, just because you're available does not mean that you have to take something. Absolutely. Right. And that's where we've talked about earlier about like setting boundaries so you can create margin. The more you say no, the more likely you are then to say yes, which that is not talked about a lot at all within the hustle culture, like in general, which is low key annoying. So with all of that said, like, yeah, the whole scarcity thing, there are certain times, certain seasons where you can do that, but to solely rely on that tactic, and that's the only way that you think that you're going to be able to market yourself, we have a bigger problem.
Yeah. I think if that's something that like, in terms of, let's say like mini sessions, I see this a lot in mini sessions. Just offer less.
Yeah.
And then open up for more. If that's something that you want to perceive to people, offer less and then open up to more, because then you have the opportunity to be like, okay, I'm actually fully booked. Now I can open up for more people. Whereas now we're just fake booking and not giving people the opportunity to book those things because we've taken it off our calendar so that it looks like we have more bookings than we do.
Yeah. It's the under promise, like over deliver. I think it's a part of that house.
Yeah. So having those create that as a boundary instead of some kind of marketing tactic. So have a boundary of, I'm going to open up for such like a set amount of people. And then if I book all of those, then I will, open up for more. We don't have to do minis as an entire like 35 sessions in one day.
I've seen that.
I know.
And I'm like,
and we can do 10. We can do 10 and try and book up all 10. And then if we have room for more, we can open up for more. But we don't have to do the scarcity mentality, and we don't have to fearmonger people into being like, oh my God, book now. I'm filling up so fast.
You're going to get me onto a soapbox about the fear mongering within our industry that literally I could talk about that for a whole hour.
Like, I know people, I am kudos to you if you have a boundary of 20 weddings a year or 15 weddings or 10 weddings a year or whatever. But we don't have to advertise that. I feel like now when I see that, I'm like, that's a little icky.
Yeah.
Because now you're telling me, oh my God, only one wedding left. I know you can take more than one wedding.
Yeah.
I know that. You can offer more than that. You're just now fear-mongering people into thinking, oh my God, she only has one spot left. I might have to book it now, when maybe they're not the right fit.
Right.
But now I'm so scared that I'm not going to get my opportunity with this person because they book up so fast, quote unquote. And
like, we are creating FOMO.
We are. Yeah.
Like,
a girl can't handle FOMO. I'm just saying.
Like, we are creating
FOMO queen over here. Take it from me.
Sarah is always afraid that she's missing out on something.
I live in a constant state of fear.
It's a nice balance, obviously, that we have, where I just tell her, like, it's really okay. I don't think you're missing out on anything.
Thank God.
Deep breath. She's over here being like, can you stop working your life away? Sure. No, I've seen that like time and time again. The whole like fear mongering thing. Me as a planner, I have had to especially now I'm sure we hear the word post-COVID all the time. It's been 4 years, but we truly are still riding like the little bit of like the leftover waves of COVID where, at least from a planner's I'm saying that, like, for example, venues, it's no longer a 10 to 12 month book out. You're looking at anywhere between 16 to 18 months in advance that things are getting booked out. And that's not because of this particular venue was super popular or whatever have you. I really do blame it on COVID, and that I don't know when we're going to see a plateau from it, but
I think it's going to be years. I don't think we're going to ever recover.
It's going to suck. But at the same time though, this whole like, with that, a new tactic, this whole FOMO tactic then started happening where people in the beginning, I feel like we're trying to explain to clients, yes, I am getting booked up a lot sooner because I've had the same client now for 2.5 years when I was only really supposed to have them for maybe a year or something like that. And that's how that ripple took effect. But people just stuck to that and now are continuing to use that FOMO tactic or the fear-mongering tactic to put out into like the wedding universe of like, yeah, you have to book like your favorite vendors like right this minute. I have had clients come to me during consultations and where they said, yeah, I've talked to another planner and they told me like that I'm so far behind. And I'm like, really? Like, what do you mean? Like your wedding is literally like in a year and a half. And you already have your venue. You have like, you know, if that person maybe had like an in-house caterer or they had a caterer already booked. And to me, you're right. You're just where you need to be at that point. I preferred you to come to me first, but okay. Top 3. Love that. But they're like panicking with me on the phone. I can hear how stressed out they already are. And we've got a year and a half to go. And I'm like, babe, we need to
I think also because the people that they're seeing are people in the higher end markets too, because obviously we're going to beat this into the ground, but people who are in higher end markets are the ones that are get seen more and the ones that are, you know, published and blah, blah, blah. So those are the people that they're following and they're looking for quote unquote advice from that. They're not asking for advice, but they're looking at it, getting the advice from the internet. Yeah. So those people also tend to only actually take 10 weddings a year. Right. So those people do tend to book up really fast because they only take a set number. Right. So when we're seeing that, and then those people are putting it out in the world that like, I'm fully booked for 2027 or whatever the fuck, then that is what scares people because that's who they're seeing too. Whereas us over here who are like, I take 20 weddings a year and I'm only half booked for the year. So most of my clients nowadays are booking me within a year to even 8 to 7 months out.
That's wild to me.
I know, but I book so many within the same year, which is a little scary for me, but it's okay. It's okay, Sarah. But yeah, so I know where it's coming from. And why they're seeing that, but also those people are fear mongering as well. Yes. So
yep.
I just
because there's no separation. There's no separation of like the different markets within the wedding industry because, like you just said, like we only see more than half the time a particular market that's always being perceived because it's glamorous, it's big and bold and beautiful or whatever. Like that's why we see Hollywood plastered all. You don't see impoverished people being blasted all over like, you know, social media or like in the news or whatever, being like, look at this lovely lifestyle. Nobody wants to look at like the hard nitty gritty stuff because it's not cute, unfortunately, or it's not pretty. Yeah. And so, you know, with us being in a different market than like the super higher end like markets, but all of that stuff, like you said, it starts from the top and it trickles down. Now all of a sudden we have to re-educate and say that might be true for that particular market, but if you are not wanting to be a part of that market from like a client's perspective, if you're not wanting to be a part of that market and you're wanting to be a part of like, if you want to call it a middle tier or whatever, I don't know, in a different market, you have more opportunity then. There are others that will be able to serve you well, that you don't have to feel like you have to rush into and then potentially then having buyer's remorse. Yeah. You want to talk about a fear that I have? buyer's remorse that like a bride or like a couple like comes to me and they just want to book just because so they can check a box off instead of really booking me for me. And like the team, like in the value that we bring to the table, they just want to be like, okay, I got it done. I'm done. Yeah. Like or whatever. And then at the end of the day, maybe we weren't actually like a good fit. Or, you know, they feel that we're not serving them well because of our processes or something like, I don't really know. But like, you want to talk about, you have your FOMO. That's my thing. That's interesting. That's like, I'm constantly in fear of like, I guess not do you like me, but like the whole buyer's remorse, because wedding planning should be a fun thing. And it's our responsibility as vendors, not necessarily to make it fun, but to provide resources and to re-educate where we need to in order to allow them to have that like to feel safe and for clients to have the margin of like having wedding planning being as a fun thing. But it starts with us first. And so with us creating that margin where we're able to then provide that great value and giving the time of like the re-education and really loving on our clients at that point, it all comes full circle. Yeah. And that is what's not talked about, like whatsoever about this whole like hustling type situation. You're not then creating margin for you to truly give value back to the people that you are wanting them to give you their money. So you really have to start like digging deeper, really reflecting on yourself and how your business is set up and thinking about, okay, if I want to include myself in an oversaturated area and oversaturated industry, that's fine. We will welcome you with open arms, but you have to really redefine then what value then am I going to bring? And then how am I going to create the time and the space to bring that value back into it? Preach. But nobody talks about that. They're just like, you have to book everything that comes across your desk.
Yeah. That's a whole nother thing. You do not.
No, like overbooking will lead to burnout. I love me a good alliteration. Overbooking will lead to burnout, like 100%. And like, nobody talks about that. We talk about the trigger word of burnout. We talk about the trigger word of hustling. We talk about the trigger word of like self-care and mental health, yada, yada, yada. But again, we don't talk about the initial point, the problem from the very, very beginning in order for us to completely avoid it. Really, the only time that I see burnout ever being talked about is how to get yourself out of it. Right. Why don't we start talking about how to avoid it altogether?
Then let's.
I'll start with you. What are some things that you do that technically is like quoted as like self-care? Like how are you creating margin for yourself?
I have, for the most part, unless it just doesn't work out, like there's something that I actually have to do or something gets rescheduled or whatever. Sundays and Mondays are my off days. Those have always been my off days. For a long time, I didn't take Monday off because I felt like I needed to get sneak peeks out like immediately. And by immediately, I meant same day. And then like I would have to do something else and then something else and whatever. No, now Sundays and Mondays are my weekends. I take those 2 days and I do whatever I want to do. If that's me having to clean my house or go shopping or whatever it is. Sundays and Mondays are my free days and I don't think about anything or do anything that has to do with work. On the off chance, like today, I had a reschedule, so I had to do it on Monday because that was the only day that they could do it, but that's fine. So maybe tomorrow I'll take that off or whatever. It gets a little bit trickier when I'm in wedding season. Like right now, I'm kind of in a break still until this weekend. My break is pretty much done at this point. It gets a little bit trickier once I get into wedding season because there are things that line up that I have to do within that week. With like rescheduling. And then once we get into wedding season, we're always automatically into portrait season, engagement season, all that stuff. Every time we hit wedding season, it's the same season. So making those boundaries are a little tougher, but I still try and stick to it. And I also try and stick to 2 days a week that are the days that I do shoots.
Oh yeah.
like engagement sessions once engagement season starts, or whatever else. I usually only do sessions on Tuesdays and Thursdays. One, it makes my calendar a little bit easier. And then, if I start to book out, then I book out, in certain times of the year. I'll book out like a month in advance or something.
Right.
But then I'm only taking, I try and do this. I don't do this all the time. My boundaries are a little bit grayed when it comes to taking bookings in the busy season. But then I'm really, truly only doing 8 to 12 sessions a month. And then that allows me to have the time to get the sessions out quicker and not be backed up, because I don't like to sit on photos. I don't like to sit on photos.
This is so true.
I don't. So I will get them out as soon as I can. If something is longer than 4 weeks, like, it starts giving me so much anxiety.
Yeah.
So I, within a couple weeks, if not the same week, I will try and finish up. Weddings are a different story. Weddings, I don't like to sit on more than 2 to 3 weeks.
Yeah.
But
I mean, me as a planner, selfishly very excited for that.
Yeah.
Like, I always am excited for that.
I don't like to sit on weddings for more than 2 to 3 weeks, because I know I'm just going to continuously getting backed up in busy season, where then I can't catch up. So sessions, I like to get them out within the same week if I can. I don't tell my clients that. I under promise and over deliver, as always.
Yeah.
Rule of thumb. But yeah, so that's a couple of ways that I maintain
and I love that, because again, you're creating margin for yourself then to like maintaining like personal life outside of work, so you can do like fun, like the things that like refuel you, but then you're also creating margin already within your business so that you can serve your clients even better than what technically you've got written down like on black and white, aka like a contract.
Yeah.
Which is amazing.
Yeah.
So, and then again, you're providing a really great value. So then you have repeat clients. It's a full circle situation. And now you're getting bookings. If you're listening to this, I'm hoping that you're understanding the full circle that we are talking about. That overbooking or overbooking is not meaning any kind of like success or whatsoever. It's, you know, things like that too.
Yeah. Those boundaries are hard to not cross. I'll be honest. There are times where I am doing a session every day of the week. It's just the nature of busy season.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, fall is incredibly popular in Virginia. Yeah. So, and I only have 2 months of fall. So I kind of suck it up in order to get everyone their fall photos that they want. Sometimes I do have to cross those boundaries quite a bit, just because the nature of nature, and doing everything outside. So
yeah, that totally makes sense. But then you had told me then, what do you not do then? December and January.
Oh yeah, I take December and January off.
See?
Yeah. So I know within those like 3 months that I will have at minimum 2 months off. Yeah. Once November hits. I'll have 3 months off this year, which is a little weird, but
soak it in.
So, Katie.
Okay, actually, we're going to move on to the next topic. We'll catch you on the next episode. Okay, bye. Okay.
We're working on it.
We are. There is always room for improvement. I will give myself a win. I will pat myself on the back that like us having this office. Ooh, I think I might get emotional. That was weird.
Why?
I don't know. It was a good thing.
Okay.
Oh, what the fuck?
What's happening right
I don't
now?
know what's happening. I'm crying. What the fuck? That's so weird. This is what happens like when you're like an emotional person, like a super empath person. Anyway, us like having this office, I think truly has changed my life.
Okay.
Because it has majorly shifted my mental health in that I like don't work on the weekends. Like the computer stays here. Don't rob me, assholes. By the way, but it does. The computer stays here like over the weekend. There been times where I've had to take the computer home where I'm like, shit, I really need to get this out like today. Sure. But in comparison to like when I had my home office, that shit was terrible. Absolutely terrible. Anybody can ask my husband. I would stay up till like 3 a.m. designing or just emailing because I'm like already in hyperfixation mode of some sort. There was zero boundary. Even though I preached boundaries like to other people, or I would even say like I have boundaries. I only work on design on like Wednesdays and whatever, or I only do emails on this days, or I only do phone calls on this and this days. Like when I was at home, working from home, then there was zero, like the boundaries then just got crossed like way and like it got super, super gray. Whereas here, then super thankful of like, yeah, I can leave the computer here. Now, have there been times where I am here until 11 p.m.? Yes, there have been. And so that is something that I need to work on of like, okay, having like a set, like if I'm going to be like a 10 to 6 girly, Sarah knows this, I'm not a morning person by any means. So 10 to 6 like works really great. Then I need to stick to like that whole 10 to 6. And so does that mean that maybe I have to be a little bit more firmer about saying no to clients of like, hey, can you have a conversation with me at 7:30 p.m. instead of me being like, sure, not a problem. Like I have to reestablish some boundaries with that, or I have to time manage a little bit better. Making sure like I'm able to get out the door by 6 if that's what I want to have like office hours set to. But there's been a lot of improvement with us getting like the office here.
Good.
Because the computer like stays at home. And I don't have email notification. I have email on my phone, but I don't have email notifications.
I don't either. Yep.
Like also for me, it's just overstimulating with the constant constant notifications popping up. I don't even have Instagram notification. Actually, do I? There are certain Instagram notifications that I do have on. Pretty much anything that's involving Taylor Swift or Taylor Nation. That is it. Those are the only two that I get like not direct messages, but like the pop-up notifications. Everything else though, Yeah. Just because I will just be sucked into it. I've had to go into like my phone plenty of times and like reset like notifications being like turn off, which is why I suck at Instagram DMs so much. So I always tell people just text me or like email me that at that point.
Yeah.
So, but, and then in regards to scheduling, I think with me and having an amazing team that I have, this is still a learning curve about how busy is too busy for the entire team in general. I know from an individualistic standpoint of what's too much for me, but I have very enthusiastic women on my team and I love that so much. However, now I'm having to reteach and helping them redefine what their boundaries are because they want to see Tilly and Teal win. That also is going to make me emotional. I don't know what's going on. It's fine. Just let it happen.
Okay.
But like I'm okay. But they also, I have amazing women on my team where like they want to see Tilly and Teal win. Like as a company, as a brand, they want to see us be successful. And I have started to notice sometimes that they will go way up. We will go above and beyond for our couples. We love them dearly, but they are now breaching past the above and beyond to like, okay, it's now getting to the point of you being unhealthy. So I have to remember that I have to be a good example and I have to set a boundary up for myself so that they can understand of like, okay, Katie sets these boundaries. I need to set the boundaries and we all keep ourselves into check as well. We'll call each other out, which is really nice.
I think that goes with just being a boss as well.
Yeah.
You lead by example.
Yeah. So. Have to do that. So that's a learning curve. That's something that's like, that is being needed like as improvement wise, because sure, I obviously would love to say like, oh yeah, we did this many weddings. I've seen other like vendors or other coordination like teams that they will put that on their website of like, you know, we did 100 weddings last year. That makes me want to vomit. Yeah. Profusely.
I mean, it's cool, but not really if you think about it.
Me knowing what obviously the extremity of our job and like what we do, if I ever get to the point where I'm saying we did 100 weddings last year, I just,
it's like, what is that saying where like you give yourself to so much that you can't give enough to like one thing.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like,
Can't do it all and do it well.
yeah, that kind of thing. Like, you're giving like 100, like you can't give 100% if you're giving 1% to 100 things.
Right.
So yeah, I don't think that that's healthy at all. I've had videographers like to do that too, where they're like, our team shot like over 150 weddings last year. I've had a couple videographers tell me that, and I'm like, okay, do you have a life?
Are you tired?
Are you tired?
Are you okay?
Yeah. Should you be here right now? Probably not. Yeah.
Pop quiz. What's the couple's name?
Right? Yeah. Like, how do you keep track of all those people? I mean, I get it. Most of the time they have a team. They're like, 4 people deep, and each one does 20 weddings and whatever. But still.
Yeah. So that's what I'm learning. It's just like, what is the entire team's now? What's our margin? Now that I've created a margin for myself, now I'm helping the team in general of like, okay, we don't have to book everything again that comes across our desk. It's okay for us to say that we are booked. And even, yes, I would love to be able to help every single person, but at the same time,
Yeah.
I can't.
Yeah.
I am only one person. So, and I will say this, that I do have a privilege that, what is it called? We are dinks. Dual income, no kids. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Same.
not having a family, I can understand that in regards to time wise, it is going to look very different in comparison to our friends who have children.
But even more so for them.
That's what I'm saying.
Like, stop.
Yeah.
Is okay.
Yeah.
You have children.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've talked to many of our like mutual friends who have young children now, and they will come to me and say how they're envious of like the quote unquote freedom that we have, that you and I have, that we get to do like various different things. And I have to remind them, but we are in very different seasons though. When and if it happens like for us, then like for Jeff and I, then what I'm trying to do now is create margin and create boundaries now so that when and if it does happen for us, that I am not panicking and saying like, oh shit, I have now overbooked myself, that like I
don't know how to get out of this.
I there's no way that I can get out of it.
Yeah.
Or I don't have a backup plan, or there's no resourcing or any of that type of stuff too. And so creating again that margin for when life wants to life, it provides new opportunities to come in the future.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
But
yeah. So I think the biggest takeaway is hustle culture is not,
it's facade. It's
it's
not
an illusion. All it's cracked up to be.
No.
You don't need it. Create boundaries, better your time management, and have a healthy work-life balance, and it'll work out in the long run.
A lot of self-reflection. Yeah. Ask your community too.
And also just take some time. It takes time. Remember that. Like, it takes a lot of time. You don't have to do everything within the first year that you start or whatever. Like, ride it out. You'll be okay.
I just went into year 8 and I feel like I'm just now really seeing like reaping the benefits of like the work that I put in the very, very beginning.
Same. So it's all going to take time.
Patience and perseverance.
Patience.
So.
Okay. All right.
We love you.
We love you. All right. Where can they find you, Katie?
On the Instagram and the interwebs, TILLYANDTEAL. And then you can find us like as the podcast, Behind the Owl Podcast, on Instagram. Also go to the website as well. If you are a new listener, hello and welcome. We do this thing called What the Fuck Wednesdays, where we hear from y'all about all of the different what the fuck moments that you've had on wedding days, just in life in general. You can submit all of your what the fuck Wednesday stories on our website, Instagram DMs too. We'll take them wherever, essentially. And we like to do an episode a month where we'll just share all of your crazy what the fuck Wednesday stories. So
yes, ma'am.
Sarah, where are you on the web?
You can find me on Instagram at Serendipity Photography, SARANDIPITY photography. And then, yes, also Serendipity Photo is my website if you want to see it. I don't know. I feel like I always have to follow that up with something else. But anyhow, we'll see you on the next one. We love you.
Bye.
Goodbye.